Recording in progress.
Kadosh, Erev Tov. We're going to speak about tonight Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 Commandments. If you pay attention inside of your phone, you already have the shiur. Yeah. So it's in you have a PDF. Okay. So it starts, Yichudam Malatam Shel Aseret HaDibrot. We're talking about the greatness of the 10 Commandments. Chazal told us that the 10 Commandments, it's a separate entity in itself. And it's even going to be considered as part of the Tidyag Mitzvot, which means that inside the 10 Commandments, you have the Tidyag Mitzvot. Yeah, yes. Okay, we have to explain, what does that mean? So we're going to divide the Mitzvot in the 10 Commandments. Bet, number 2. Amirat Aseret HaDibrot b'chol yom b'tzibur v'yachid. Do we say it every single day or not? Okay. The Mishnah Masechet Tamid says, "Bevet Hamikdash they had a minhag to say every single day Aseret Hadibrot." But Chazal they annulled it in the Gvulim because of the meaning. What does it mean? The meaning. The meaning says that this is the only thing which is going to be from the Torah. So therefore, they came and they annulled it. Okay, that's going to be number 1. Al pi divrei Gemara, the rabbis, whether it's a poskim and everything, they say, can you say it every single day in the Tefillah? A difference also between saying a betzibur and biyachid. And we're going to explain what the Arizal HaKadosh said, that you don't say it. Number 3, are you allowed to stand during the 10 Commandments or not? Okay, we're going to speak about that as well. Number 4, reading the 10 Commandments in Tam Elyon and Tam Tachton. Remember that the way that we read the 10 Commandments, we read them in a special ta'amim. What does that mean? They're the exact same ta'amim, but it's a special tune. So those is called Tam Elyon. So therefore, we're going to understand what does that mean exactly, how we're going to be doing it when we're doing the Tam Tachton and Tam Elyon. How could it be that what? It was given differently in Har Sinai? Like, what's the explanation exactly? So we're going to try to explain that. Number 5, Mesirat Ukriya Parashat Aseret HaDibrot, Parashat B'fnei Atzma, it's the Parashat in itself, Midin Zecher LeKabalatam Har Sinai. That means the reason why we actually come and we read it is because to remember the Ma'amad of Har Sinai. And therefore, that's why it's going to be very, very important. Number 6 is standing up or sitting down during a Aseret HaDibrot Halachah L'Maaseh. Number 7 is do not sit when everyone's standing, which means that if there is a minhag, you have to stand, so you have to stand also with them. Don't become all of a sudden now the religious guy all of a sudden, Keilu, and all of a sudden now you're sitting and everybody's standing up for the 10 Commandments. Number 8, Tzuratam of the form of the Aseret HaDibrot. Right? Or can they put them on the Ron Kodesh? Because we're going to see there's a lot of mistakes in how they actually set them up. Meaning a lot of times they come and they make them all round and things like that. And the round is actually Christian. Really, be'emet, they were squared. So therefore, we're going to speak about that as well. Okay? Yes, like a cube. Yeah? Huh?
3 dimensions.
Yeah, 100%. 1 minute. Okay. Okay, page Aleph. Okay? When we look at page 1, it says, "Vayomer Hashem Moshe, Aleh Elai Hahara v'yeshav v'teneh lecha luchot ha'even v'atorah v'mitzvah asher katabti lorotam." What does that mean exactly? It means that he comes and he says this. Hashem says to Moshe, "Go up to the mountain, and I'm going to give you the luchot ha'even, the Torah mitzvah, the Torah the mitzvot, which I wrote to give them to you." So there, Rashi already says that all the Torah and the mitzvot are there. All the Torah and the mitzvot are inside the 10 Commandments. Okay? Everything are in the 10 Commandments. Says the Gemara. Well, the 10 Commandments are Parashat Yitro for now. Also. Yeah? But he comes and he says, Talmud Bavli. Right? Dav He Amud Aleph. ותנה לך את לוחות האבן והתורה ומצוות אשר כתבתי לאורתם. לוחות, the 10 Commandments. תורה מקרא, מצווה is משנה, אשר כתבתי נביאים וכתובים לאורתם, to teach you is גמרא. What does that mean? It teaches us that everything was given on Moshe Sinai. The Midrash Rabbah also says, right? What does it mean when it says הנכמדים מזהב מלאה כתורת, תרי"ג מצוות בלולו בהם. And that's what that means. You see that the 10 Commandments, you have the Taryag Mitzvot already. So now we're going to have to understand How do you have the mitzvot in the 10 commandments? So look at this. This is called the Chalukat Hariyat Mitzvot in the 10 commandments. Okay, Katav Rabbi Oziel on his explanation on Shira Shrim. It's the Mitzvah Ramban. You guys are not looking inside, and you guys are losing out a lot. Yeah, he says, but Kol Philip, you have it. Only one. All Katav, he says, Yesh alenu lechabsol datech acharehen. I sent it to you to your chat. You have it there. So he says you could find it in the Aseret Dibrot. How? He comes and he says like this. Anochi, you have 80 mitzvot. Lo yeh, you have 60 mitzvot. Lo tisa, 48, 48 mitzvot. Zachor, 75, 75 mitzvot. Right? Kabed et Yom HaShabbat, 77 mitzvot. Lo tirtzach, 50. Lo tinaf, 58. Lo tignov, 59. Lo ta'aneh, 52. Lo tahmod, 54. Rabbeinu Bachyain, and his Sefer Kada Kemach, he comes and he tries to explain the Chalukat HaMitzvot in every dibur v'dibur of Aseret Dibrot. According to his Shita, the Asin. Let me make this bigger. No, we're going to see it. The Asin, which is Anochi, Zachor, and Kaved et Avicha, that's a Mitzvat Aseh. The negative commandments is in the 7 Lotases. Meaning, how many positives and how many negatives? Are you listening? How many positives and how many negatives? In the 10 commandments, you have 3 positives, 7 negatives. So in the 3 positives, you have the 248 positive mitzvot. And in the negatives, the 365. Okay?
In the negative or positive?
Negative.
In what? 365 in the negatives. Okay? So now he comes and he says like this. He says, now obviously when he's actually doing this, he's actually mefaret the mitzvot. So mamash, he's actually doing that. That's what he says also in his Pirush on Sefer Yetzirah. And the Ribar Tzeloni comes and he actually brought it down also. The Rekanati also. And mamash, they say that it's Kabbalah ish mipi ish until Moshe Rabbeinu. So means until Moshe Rabbeinu, look at that. When that means imagine, I'm going to say Anochi Hashem Elokecha, and when you say Anochi, I'm having in mind that there's really bemet 80 mitzvot with the mitzvah of Anochi Hashem Elokecha. Huh? The Rasag, he explains it. There, obviously, he's going to go much more into depth, right? He's one of the Rishonim. He comes and he says like this. Okay? He comes and he says like this.
What is the name?
Oziel.
Yeah,
I said it to Oziel. We explained it already before. We said it before already. Says the bet. Look in bet. Amirat aseret hadibro b'chol yom b'tzibur u'v'yachid. The Gemara Masechet Tamid says, this is a Mishnah and Tamid it says, Amar lahem ha'memuneh, barechu b'racha achat v'hen barechu. Karu aseret hadvarim. What is aseret hadvarim?
there's only one Devarim.
But here it says aseret hadvarim. There's aseret hadibrot. Yeah, why? Because here it says Lafi sheni ikar Torah. Aseret hadvarim, because this is the ikar of the Torah. Shema v'yayim shama v'yomer barechu et ha'am shalosh berachot. They made 3 berachot. Emet v'yatziv v'avodah v'yika kohanim. Okay, the Gemara there in berachot says in the Yud Bet. What does it mean? Emet v'yatziv v'avodah v'yika kohanim. I'm going to read them Shmuel. Af begvulin bikshu likrot ken. Do you know that also in the Chutzar they also wanted to read the same thing outside of the land of Yerushalayim? Ela shekvar bitlum, but they annulled it because of taromet aminim. What is taromet aminim? They're going to come. They're going to start saying, you know what? There's a problem here. The minim are going to say this is the entire Torah, meaning only do the 10 commandments and that's it. Tanya Miyach, we also learned to the brighter Rabbi Natan Omer begulim b'shuli krokem, but they annulled it because of the minim. Rabbi Barachana Savan Mikvinu b'Surah. He wanted to appoint it in Surah, and Rav Chasta says no, they already annulled it. The Amiman wanted to do it in Narda. Rav Ashi says no, they already annulled it. Okay. Why? Shelo yamru la'amei haaretz en shar Torah emet. Because the amei haaretz are going to say this is only Torah. Imagine if you already come and you make the 10 commandments is that's the only thing. So then you're going to have a problem. Okay? Says the next. This is now the Talmud Yerushalmi. Talmud Yerushalmi also brings down the same thing. Says, what did they make the blessing? The Karu Aseret Advarim. They said Aseret Advarim. They said the 10 commandments. And then again, they want to say that it's not going to be Ma'akev one another. Shema mina kulum she'aseret advarim hen gufa shel Shema. You learn from here that Aseret advarim is actually bemet the main thing of Shema as well. Now you remember also in the Shema, because in the Shema you have the 10 Commandments. You guys remember? We already spoke about this. Exactly. We already have this. Yeah. You have it. Okay. Yes. If you take the Siddur, you have the 10 Commandments written there in the Siddur. Okay. So now he comes and he says, so therefore that's the Ikar of the Shema also as well. Okay? Fine. Next. Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet. Who's Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet?
Ben Aderet?
Yes. Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet. No. Who's Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet? Aderet.
למדנו את זה בזה.
The Rashba. The Rashba. Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet. Iowa. שאלתם עוד מהו לומר עשרת הדיברות בשחר בבית הכנסת. Can you say the עשרת הדיברות in the morning בבית הכנסת? But some people wanted to say בציבור. תשובה, אסור לעשות, כן. You're not allowed to do it. Yeah, ואב אבי ששנינו במסכת. Yeah, this is, we're going to say it in a second. He sponsored it for Seudat Hodaya, and he actually just had a baby girl. אסור לעשות, כן. אסור לעשות כן, you're not allowed to do so. ואב אבי ששנים במסכת תמיד אמר להם אמונה ברכו ברכה אחת והם ברכו, and they did עשרת הדיברות, תרום תמיד, they took it off, and therefore you see that they actually did take it off, so you're not allowed to do so. Says the Tur, he says, איכא למר דהיינו דווקא בציבור, אבל ביחיד, דלקה משום תרום תמידים, טוב לאומר. It's good to say it. Meaning to say it as a community, every single morning, imagine right after Shachrit, we will come and we will say the 10 Commandments. That wouldn't be good. No, forget about Torah Tzibur. Yeah, forget about Torah Tzibur. He says, not because of Torah Tzibur,
it's 10 seconds.
not because of that, not because of Torah Tzibur. Taromet Aminim, the heretics. The heretics are going to say, this is the Torah. All the rest, wallow.
But they already do that.
Fine, but you don't want to put it more.
I'm saying with this.
So he says, one second. So he says,
if you stand,
one second, doctor. Shwai. So therefore, says the Tur, he says that's only davka b'tzibur. But b'yachid, you could say it by yourself. There's no problem. It's only b'tzibur that don't say it. But you could do it by yourself. Rav Shlomo Luria was the Maharshal. Maharshal says, Shuv ani noheg, I'd say the Aseret Dibrot, but it's Ikarei Torah. So he says to be kove'et in Kriyat Shema, no. But to say it every single morning, Lichvod Torah, Lichvod Hashem, that you're saying that mitzvah gedola leomra. It's a very big mitzvah to say.
Let's do it.
So therefore,
It's
right, it's a very big mitzvah to say. He said not as a community, only as an individual.
No, he said
No, as a tzibur asur. Again,
But you, no,
Says-
tzadikim, we don't have blah blah blah.
no, it's a decree.
Rabbi Alexander says he says maybe there's no meaning anymore. I'm continuing.
Do you mind to say in English?
I'm continuing. Now we do not have any
Do
meaning.
you mind to say
So
in English what he said?
therefore, if we do not have
Do you
any
mind to say in
meaning,
English what he said?
can you please? be
No, I
quiet?
told you no. Do you mind to say in English what he
Now
said?
that we do not have the meaning,
Nah.
right? So therefore, he comes and he says, maybe there shouldn't be a problem. So he says, "Yesh lomar tema'aseh ha'meiman meuchar ubeoto zman havu minim benarda." It's going to be benarda. So therefore, he comes and he says, "So don't think that now you're going to say that you know what, that now you could annul the entire thing. You do not say that. Okay, fine." Then he comes and he says, the Marshal, that in Orach Chaim we said that Yachid, you could say it because of what we just said. And the reason why is Rashi. Rashi says that Yom Hazeh Hashem Lokecha B'Tvecha, that every single day it should be in your eyes like something new, which means it's going to mean Nitzavot Aleim, right? Just like the Gemara says in Perek Rueh, U'Meraui Shikra B'Chol Yom Kol HaTorah V'Mitzvah. It's mamash, you should read it every single day, and therefore you should do it, just like the Marashah brought down. Shekol HaTaryag Mitzvot Kruim Aseret Dibrot. all the Tariag mitzvot are going to be in the Aseret Dibrot. Okay, so it doesn't make it's a very powerful concept. Okay, of the thing that's the Rasag, we would have to look it up in the 70 Tzira. Amar of Yudam Shmuel says of Yudam Shmuel when it says Af bigvulim bikshu likrot ela shekvar bitzlum says lichora kashe the Amar bigvulim bikshu likrot אבל לא קראו עדיין ואחר כך סיים shekvar bitzlum they already nailed it. Why? Because of the entire concept. So he says the Gam Lashon shekvar. What does that mean? They already annulled it. So it means that they already annulled it even in the time of the Bet Hamikdash. Mishikilkilu an minim, which are the notzrim. They didn't want to say it anymore. Even during the time of the Bet Hamikdash, they already stopped. Why? Because of the Christians. The Christianity already started right during the time of the Bet Hamikdash. Remember, during the time of the second Bet Hamikdash, towards the end, was when Yeshua already started. So therefore, already from the time of the Yeshua, they already started, and they already annulled the concept of reading the Ten Commandments because of the Notzrim. Why?
Is
B'diuk at the end of the second temple. 100%. We say that the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed 1,930 something years ago. So that means Yeshu, right, was a little bit before. He was killed right before. We still had the Bet HaMikdash. Okay? Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says, I'm on page Dalet. Shulchan Aruch says, Tov lomar parashat ha'akedah u'parashat haman v'aseret hadibrot. Manan says, it's good to say parashat ha'akedah.
Every day.
It's good to say parashat haman. Akedah Yitzchak. It's good to say parashat haman. Very good. It's good to say parashat haman.
We have
Yeah. When is the last time you spoke about Haman?
Parashat Haman we say in Beshalach.
also
Yeah,
Shachrit.
very good.
It's
So he says V'aseret hadibrot, the Ten Commandments. What? No, doesn't say with the Tagol. Uparashat Olah u'mincha u'shlomim u'vechatat ve'asham, and also the Olah, mincha, shlamim, hatat ve'asham. Says the Rama, ve'davka b'yachid mutar lomar aseret hadibrot. You guys listening? Only in a yachid can you say the Ten Commandments, but you're not allowed to say b'tzibur. Says the Mishnah Berurah, u'v'yachid davka shelo betoch hatfilah. You can't say it in the middle of the tefillah. It has to be at the end of the tefillah. At the end of the tefillah, you're going to come, you're going to say the Ten Commandments. Says Rav Chaim Vital, גם הייתי נוהג בכל בוקר, קודם התפילה, פרשת המן ועשרת הדיברות.
Wow.
Rav Chaim Vital says every single morning, before the tefillah, I would say פרשת המן and the Ten Commandments. Right? ופרשיות אחדות, right? ומנעני מורי, but my rabbi stopped me not to say it.
Who that reason?
Yes, ובפרט בעשרת הדיברות. הזכיר לי טעמו של דבר, כי הרי בימי הראשונים קבעו מתפילה. בני הממנים, they already said not to do it, right? But then they said that, and therefore they annulled it. ומי זה יערב ליבו לחזק את המינים? So who's going to come and strengthen the minim? ולנהוג מה שביטלו רז"ל בגמרא, which means, if right now they came and they already annulled it, so therefore if they annulled it, who are we to come and to start strengthening the minim? So because of that, Arizal HaKadosh told him not to do it, the meaning, the heretics.
He said it.
Okay?
He said it.
1 second. So Haggah says the Rav Chida. The Rav Chida says, V'davka b'yachid. Yeah? Mutar lomar aseret hadibrot. אבל אסור לאומרם בציבור. כן כתב רשב"א. That was Rashba. So one more time. Who says that you're allowed to do it? B'yachid? The Rashbah. בציבור, you're not allowed to do that. וממה שכתב בספר הכוונות המתוקן, והייתי נוהג, and therefore the Arizal HaKadosh told him not to do it, משמע דאריזל לא שנה לבן ציבור יחיד. The Arizal HaKadosh holds there's no difference between a tzibur or no difference between a yachid. It's always going to be asur. Even yachid. Okay, that's what the Rav Chida comes and he says. Okay? According to the Arizal. According to the Arizal. So now he comes and he says, what? You tell me that you wanted to do 2 shiurim and now you don't even one. ודווקא יחיד מותר לומר עשרת דיברות, אבל אסור לאומרם בציבור. ובאמת יש לצמוא על הריף והרמב"ם והראש, והראב"ן, רבנו ירוחם, ושאר פוסקי הלכות, תשמיטו. וביותר קשה לרמב"ם שכתב בפירוש המשניות, תמיד שהוא כתבה הלכות שחיבר מירושלמי, ולבסוף מה יסבר דשמיטם יחיבור. Why did he skip it out? תאין נלק המינים. Maybe nowadays you're going to say there's no minim. If there's no minim, so then what's the problem then? So then why does the Rashba come and say that it's going to be asur? Okay, so then afterwards he wants to come and say, Yesh Argish Dalim Ayin, right? The Rashi Piresh Bishmatin, Haminim Avodah Avodah Zarah, Vavle Larav Laski Piroshashi. Meaning it's only just the minim. It's anybody that does Avodah Zarah. But then afterwards he brings al Mashma Marizal Kadosh, right? The En Lo Omram Afilu Biyachid, right? Then he says, Umiu Evshad Ekpedat Arizal Aydu Kodem Atfilah. Maybe the Med Arizal only said, he told him don't do it because it's before the Tfilah. Maybe that don't do it. Maybe afterwards you could do it. Okay, so this was the Rav Chida. Okay, fine. Next, standing up. In Divrei Maran Shulchan Aruch and Ramah, they brought down different minagim. Are you supposed to stand or sit for Kriyat Shema the entire year? Yeah, should you stand or sit the entire year? Also, the minagim of the people that are sitting. Some people they have a minhag to stand up for Kriyat Aseret Dibrot. So the poskim speak about this. In Maran it says, "En tzarich la'amod me'umad." So Maran Mefurash, you do not need to stand during Kriyat Torah. Kriyat Torah, you don't need to stand. Okay. Says the Rama, Yesh Machminim. Yesh Machminim V'omdim. Says the Rama. Huh? No, we're talking about you don't need to stand. Right? But now says some people are Machminim and they do stand. And that was the Maram. The Maram also would stand. Maram and Rotenburg. Right, the Maram Rotenburg also, he would come and he would stand. Now, this is during regular Kriyat Torah. We didn't speak about now 10 Commandments or anything. We're talking about Kriyat Torah normally. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Katava Pri Chadash, Vagra, Taikar Kisvara Rishona V'chanagu. You don't need to stand. Vabach, he says, that also Maram says that Medina, you don't have to stand. But he says that it's proper to stand. Why? Because you have to, when you're listening to the Kriyat Torah, it's like as if you're receiving it from Har Sinai. In Har Sinai, we are all standing. It says, Anochi Omed, Ben Hashem u'Benechem. So somebody that's very weak or whatever it is, old person, okay, so tell him, he could sit down or whatever it is, you understand? But if not, you stand. And that's a bach. And that's why there are Ashkenazim until today, that they stand. And in Shiva, especially in other things. Here also, when it says that when you're reading the Torah, even Barechu and Baruch Hashem u'Olam you have to stand, because it's the Varsha B'Kedusha. That's why Ashkenazim stand for Barechu. Yeah, so therefore, even from the Barechu, they would have to stand. Okay, so that's to do with regular Kriyat Torah. You listening? Yes. Regular Kriyat Torah. I can also repeat. What? Everybody who they stand. Everybody who they stand. How come what?
People, he said he should be. Remember we learned that.
Yes, in Kufyut Gimel. Why is it that people stand for Baruchu? You're adding on. No, but there wasn't standing. There was for Kriya, bowing.
No.
Bowing. It was for bowing. There it's in Siman Kufyut Gimel, which is a Siman of bowing.
No, so
why are you supposed to bow?
You should. I mean, you can.
No, you're not supposed to bow.
But wait a second. So
You're not supposed to bow.
but we said in the end of Tefillah, Rabbi, תלמידי חכם מחמיא שלום בעולם, נכון? Then you have the Kaddish, and we say, okay, you don't stand for the Kaddish, you stand for the Baruch.
No, you don't stand for Baruch Hu. Why would you stand for Baruch Hu? Again, Ashkenazim will always stand for Baruch Hu. We do not need to stand for Baruch Hu. Next, the Rasag, She'ela. This is the She'ela in the Shuta Rambam.
What they stand for, buddy?
They never stood for Baruch Hu.
They used
that's like that. And afterwards, they used to do Hidur. And you know what? I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm going to tell you a secret. Not only would they do a Hidur, not only in Morocco, Baghdad. Baghdad. The Ben Ishchai says that they used to do Hidur. Hidur is like this. They would never stand. They would never stand. French, they don't know nothing. Wallo. They don't know nothing.
He's telling you that after that they stand, they knew and then stand.
Well, you're standing with the Zalel Shabbat.
No, listen to him.
The Zalel Shabbat. You don't stand.
בקריית שמע, on se levait. Oui, השתבח.
You see?
263. Shoot a Rambam. The Rambam says, Matomar Hadat Kvodo. Right? He comes and he says,
when they stand, they don't bow.
the Ashkenazim bow.
They bow.
Ashkenazim bow.
So how come Ashkenazim said not to bow?
No, the Shulchan Aruch does not speak about. The Shulchan Aruch just says you're not allowed to add on bowing when it's not written. So the Mishnah Berurah asks, so why is it the Beberechu they bow? The Mishnah Berurah
So he
asks.
says it should be Minhag Yisrael. That's why he answers.
He answers Minhag Yisrael and he brings a proof. And the Ish Matzliach disproves that proof. Okay? Fine.
הלכה למעשה, you don't bow on the...
You don't bow.
Don't bow.
Unless you're the Shliach Tzibur.
No, he said בשקל.
Yeah. So now he comes and he says like this. He says, we're talking about now, but דבר איש שנהיגה לחכמים מכובדיה לשב בעת קריאת עשרת הדיברות. So he comes and he says, שיעמדו כולם בעת קריאת הדיברות. You should stand up during the קריאת הדיברות. So he comes and he says, you should be ראוי לגורבו. You should actually scream at them.
Who said?
The Rambam. This is in the Shut Rambam.
Rambam say what?
The Rambam, he comes and he says, right, that you should actually come and you should actually sit down.
Sit down.
Yes. Okay. That's what he says over here. This is the Shut Rambam. He comes and he says you should be sitting down during the Kriyat of Aseret Dibro, but you shouldn't actually come and you should stand up. Okay.
We used to do
1 second, please. 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay. So now, Shmuel Avuhav comes and he brings down in the Shut Dvar Shmuel, right? She'en kan makom leminim lirdot. He says, what's the big deal? What is it? Because of the heretics that they're going to come and they're going to start doing other things, right? What's the entire difference? See, he wants to come and he says like this. He says, especially for the Marshal, that they didn't read the Aseret Dibrot every single day. So he says, they could actually come and they could actually take their minhag, which is basically for a Tosefet Kedusha and for they're allowed to stand. Okay? The Rav Chida comes and he says as follows. He comes and he says, right, that during the time of the Seret Dibrot, when you're reading it from the Torah, the entire Torah is a met. So if the entire Torah is a met and you're reading it from the Torah, what are you going to say? You're going to say, no. The Seret Dibrot, if you're in the middle of the Tefillah, and you're only going to say the 10 Commandments, or right now, so then, okay, you're going to say, listen, 10 Commandments is only part of the Torah. This is not the Torah. Okay. But if you take the Sefer Torah, and now you're reading the Torah, and now you're doing that, you're going to say the same thing? Obviously not. So he comes and he says, they did it for many, many years. So therefore he comes and he says, right? He says, since everyone has the minhag of standing for the 10 Commandments, everyone has to stand up. You're not allowed to say standing, sitting. Even if you don't need to sit down, right? Sorry, you don't need to stand up, right? It became a chiyuv because now everyone's doing it. Okay, and therefore he comes and he says, if you're going to sit, there's a special halacha that if everybody's standing, you're not supposed to be sitting. What does that mean?
Commandments is that?
Which one? No. That's not. It's not one of the commandments. It's basically minhag derech eretz. What does that mean? Everybody has, right? What? You have the minhag. The minhag is everybody standing. Stand. You don't. No, you can't do that. You understand? Meaning that there has to be something. Yeah.
Like Miss Moshe Yom Shabbat.
There's two different minhagim. So there's two different minhagim.
Exactly.
There, when there's going to
when
be
they sit in the synagogue, you have to sit with them.
exactly. Meaning like this. Here in this Bet Knesset, we left it a free for all. Right? We left it a free for all. What do you mean left it a free for all? You want to stand, you could stand. You want to sit, you could sit. That's it. But let's say, for example, tefillin on Chol HaMoed. Yeah, tefillin on Chol HaMoed. Are you allowed to come and put on tefillin on Chol HaMoed here? Some Ashkenazim do. Not all of them. Not all of them. Some Ashkenazim put tefillin. Right? No. Some Ashkenazim, they put tefillin on Chol HaMoed. So here, it's a sur. Because since the minhag is not to put tefillin on Chol HaMoed, it's a sur to put on tefillin on Chol HaMoed. You understand? So you're not allowed to do it. If it's going to be something that you have both different groups, that's fine. But if it's something that everybody does it, you're not allowed to come, you're not allowed to change. Yeah, that's what we said. Yeah, very good.
No.
With the lulav.
Modim,
Yeah.
I remember in Morocco, they used to sell Modim like that.
Okay. He comes and he says like this, right? He comes and he says, right? So therefore you have to actually come and you have to stand up. That was the Rav Chida. Says also the Rav Chida now in another sefer, אם כל הציבור עומדים בקריאת הסדר לראות אינו נכון, ואם אין היחידים, ואיזה יחידים עומדים לנבא, ולפי מה שכתב בבראש מחזיק ברכה דאריזה לא שינה בין יחיד לציבור, אם כן אפילו יחיד לא יעמוד. אמנם יש מקומות שפשט המנהג שכל הקהל עומדים. There's already some places that they already had a minhag, that everyone stands up. Okay, also Rabbeinu Ephraim in the Shar Ephraim, for the Ten Commandments.
Minhag you want to use here? People they do it sitting
Here
down.
we already have the minhag that we
Some
stand up for the
people,
Ten
they
Commandments.
stand up. But
What
you do
okay?
whatever the minhag is
So
in the
he comes and he
city.
says now like this. That was to do with
Stand up.
standing up. Now we're going to speak about the Ten Commandments. Yes. Now we're going to speak about the Ten Commandments with Tam Elyon and Tam Tachton. Aset Dibrot, they were said in two different surot of the Psukim. You have the Tam Elyon and Tam Tachton. So we have to understand, how could it be that in Sinai you had two different types of Kriya? What does that mean? In Har Sinai they read it two different ways. How does that work exactly? So he comes and he says like this. This is the Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Tam Elyon and Tam Tachton. Tam Elyon is the way that I read it in the Tzibur. And then when you read it in Torah by yourself, it's different Ta'amim. You never realize it? Pay attention. You're going to see in a Chumash, you're going to see Ta'amim. And then it's going to tell you, for the 10 Commandments in a Tzibur, turn to this page. You go to the other page, and it's two different sets of Ta'amim.
Not only that, when you look
only for the 10 Commandments.
Only for the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments
when you
in
look
this
in your Chumash,
parasha
you hear how we read.
and the other parasha, right? The other 10 Commandments, and also even the Sof Pasuks.
You read both, no?
No, I only read the way that it's Ta'am Elyon. The way that it's
He
special.
doesn't say it like the regular.
I don't say like a regular Chumash.
No,
Which one? Everybody does it. Every sect of Judaism. Take a Chumash. You have it.
No, I believe you.
Every sect. Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
even
When you see it.
Oziel used to do
See, you said the
different.
time like this.
Huh?
You know, not like a regular time.
No, obviously.
But
That's
how do
everyone.
you find the one you...
It's in the Chumash.
No. How do you find?
Yeah. There's a Shulchan Aruch Harav. In the 10 Commandments, you have two different types of neginot. One of them is Mikol Dibur Pasuk Echad, even though if it's going to be very long or very short, which is Anochi, Lo Yelecha, Lo Taseh, Lo Tishtachave, Ve'oseh Chesed, is all one pasuk. Shanochi Ve'lo Yelecha, B'dibur Echad Ne'emro. Did you guys just understand what I just said?
No.
One more time. Anochi, Aywa.
Where are you, Rabbi?
Anochi and Lo Yeh, I'm on page, right? I'm on page 7 right now. Okay, I'm on page 7, right? Even though we're gonna have to stop in 2 minutes. Yeah, in page 7, it says over here that Anochi, we say Anochi Hashem Lokecha and Lo Yeh Lecha. How was it said? B'dibur echad. Meaning not only was Shamor v'Zachor b'dibur echad, Anochi Hashem Lokecha and Lo Yeh Lecha was in b'dibur echad. To show you that it was said b'dibur echad, which means in one utterance. So therefore, if it was going to be one utterance, we read it as one pasuk. So therefore, even though in the Tam Tachton we say Anochi Hashem Lokecha Hashem Mitzrayim Bet Avadim, dot sof pasuk, that's pasuk bet. Lo Yeh Lecha is the next pasuk, but it was b'dibur echad, so it's all one entity. It's all one entity.
So
Okay.
the way you read this one...
Is one pasuk. It's all one pasuk. It's all one long pasuk. Okay? The same thing with Zachor. The Sheshet Amim, Yom HaShvi, Sheshet Amim. It's all one pasuk. And therefore the Ka of Tevat Kol is V'asita Chol Melachtecha. Yeah? Ekut moa. Yeah? So he says, or Lo Tirtzach is a pasuk echad shalem. And therefore the Tzadi has a kamatz. Given sheyesh sham sof pasuk. So he comes and he says, V'atav degusha, Lo Tirtzach. Lefi shetvat Lo is with the ta'am mafsik. Right? You do Lo Tirtzach. There's a tav. It's not a saf. You understand what a saf? Ashkenazim, if it was a saf, they would say Lo Sirsach. You don't say Sirtzach. Right? There's no. It's Tirtzach. Why? Because since the ta'am of Lo is Lo, you say Tirtzach. Now you do say the tav. So he comes and he says, the Lo Tignov, the same thing.
With the daggers, no?
It is with the dagesh, but we're explaining why does it have a dagesh. V'asheni, and the other is Oseh mi Anochi pasuk echad. Im lo yeh lecha is pasuk sheni. Ulfi ze hanun shel panai is with the kamatz because it's sof pasuk. V'chen zachor, right, is the same thing. So basically, that's how he's just explaining to you the entire concept. Okay. Now he comes and he says the other one is shel inyan kriya em lo tirtzach lo tachmon el pasuk echad bivad. It's only going to be one pasuk. Right? Dehainu shasu lafsik kriyato legamre. You're not allowed to stop mamash betoch emtza pasuk, even if you're reading it by yourself. Shekol hafsakot hapsukim im lechal Moshe misinai. It's not the Moshe misinai. You're not allowed to stop in the middle. Vekevan shasu lafsik kriya legamre beemtza dal peshok tionot alalu אם כן, גם כששומעים בפעם אחת, הם נקראים בנגינה מחוברת אותן. You read it all together as one, right? As one entity. Okay? And therefore, from אנוכי until לא תישא, from זכור until לא תרצח, הם מופסקים לכמה פסוקים לעניין הקריאה. תהיינו עניין שיחיד מותר להפסיק קריאתו לגמרי, באמצע פרשת אנוכי וזכור, כך שיהיה בסוף פסוק, פרס בסוף פסוק. But even in הציבור, there's no איסור להפסיק, אלא because of the נכנסים ויוצאים. Okay, fine. Now comes the Magen Avraham. Magen Avraham says, right בשבועות, we read in Tam Elyon, because we have the Aseret Dibrot, Shabbat Parashat Yitro, we read Tam Tachton. And the Yachid, right, but the Sefer or Torah says, no, the Yachid reads Tam Tachton, and the Tzibur Elyon, which means here we see a Chidush. The Magen Avraham says, when do you use Tam Elyon? Only on Shavuot. The Shavuot is like Matan Torah.
Yeah.
But on Parashat Yitro, you're reading Yitro. Or Parashat V'etchanan, right, and you're reading it. Yeah?
Huh?
Where's Yitro? Where's V'etchanan? Yeah.
And Devarim.
Yeah, so where is it? So he comes and he says a what? You have to do Tam Tachton. The Biur Halacha actually brings it down. He says there's two types of neginot.
What is the point?
Right? And he comes and he says like this, even though it's going to be very short. And then he comes and he says, V'tam shne neginot. He says, why do you have the two different tamim? Right? Tam elyon, tam tachton. Sharishon u'mesudar lefi katuv. The first one is according to how the way that it's written. Shenichtav kol dibur v'dibur v'fnei atzmo, from anochi until lo tisa v'chule v'chule v'chule. V'asheni is lefi kri, the way that you read it. From lo tirtzach until lo tachmod. Right? So he comes and he says like this, and that's why it's called tam tachton. שהוא גם כן נגינה מפסקת אותם. זה תוכן שתי הנגינות. ועל כן בשבועות, they read בציבור בראשון tam elyon. To make every single דיבור פסוק אחד. לפי שבו ביום, that was when it was given the 10 commandments. in פרשת יתרו, פרשת ואתחנן, they do tam תחתון, יש נוהגים לקרוא בציבור לעולם tam elyon. That's our minhag. We always read in tam elyon in the tzibur, in which means even in Yitro and Parashat V'etchanan. But again, you will have some Ashkenazim that they will only read Tam Elyon in Shavuot. Other than that, they always read Tam Tachton.
Tachton is the regular one.
The regular one. The regular what you find in the
They
Chumash.
read the regular.
Some of them will read regular, and some minhagim, they have different minhagim. Okay? Now this is Rav Soloveitchik. Rav Soloveitchik comes and he says, right? You'd bet, he comes and he says as follows. The only time you would ever stand for the tam is only if they do tam elyon. Meaning, if you're doing tam tachton, for sure you wouldn't stand. But if you're doing tam elyon, then you would actually come and you would stand up. Okay, so באמת יש מנהגים לקרוא בtam elyon only in Shavuot, זכר מתן תורה. However, though the Grach had a minhag to read the Aseret Dibrot and tam tachton even in Shavuot, because the whole psuk lo pas kemoshe. So here we find the third shita that even on Shavuot you would read tam tachton. Obviously, again, we already explained where our minhag comes from. Okay?
So we sit or we stand up now?
I already said 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, so he comes and we said like this.
Even
They don't
Moshe.
we read it always in Tam Elyon. You're in a tzibur. You always read it Tam Elyon. Okay? So therefore, that's our minhag. So Rav Ovadia Yosef,
Didn't you say no? That the time Elyon is in Shavuot.
that's only for the Magen Avraham. Our minhag is always to do Tam Elyon. There are 3 different opinions. Okay, so therefore, now that Rav Ovadia, he wants to come and say that they want to do it, standing up. But he says en divrei mukhrachim. It's not it's not mukhrach at all. And therefore, he comes and he wants to say that Hagaon Rav Ovadia Odaya B'shut Yaskil Avdi wanted to be mekayem minhag haomdim, but during the time of Aseret Dibrot. Right, and he wanted to say that there's no problem. However, though, he says that he wants to actually be mocher. It means that Rav Ovadia was so strong that you have to actually scream at people, that you're not supposed to stand up during the Aseret Dibrot. Afterwards,
given to the rabbi.
That's
so they stand up.
Very good, very good. So that's what you just said right now is actually the Ishmat Seach. The Ishmat Seach says anyway, you give the minhag is to give it to the rabbi. So if you give the minhag to the rabbi, anyway, you stand up for the aliyah. So if you stand up for the aliyah, so therefore you don't sit again. You stay standing the entire time, and then afterwards, that's it. And the truth is, that was a minhag in what I remember in Morocco. Here, they only have a minhag of standing up for the berachot and then sitting down. I remember all my life, whenever a rabbi got the aliyah, it was like your father. You stand up the entire thing.
Like the
entire thing. Like your parents, like your father. Like your father. It wasn't that you just stand up for the berachah, then you sit down. You stand up and you say standing up the entire aliyah. The entire aliyah. That was the minhag. Now, even if it's not going to be the rabbi that's getting it, the minhag was to stand up during the Ten Commandments. Okay, Rosh Shlomo Zalman Auerbach actually just says that בזמננו שהכול יודעים שזה לזכר מעמד הנבחר, אין בזה חשש, and also they're standing during the other Kriyat Torah as well, for example, Shirat Hayam. Some Ashkenazim have a minhag of standing up during the Shirah, during, Az Yeshim Moshe. So because of that, he wants to come and say that there's no problem. There's others as well, the Tshuvot Vanagot, or Moshe Sternbach, also that he says that it is good to stand up for the 10 Commandments. So therefore, again, just to make a very, very big sikkum, okay, at the end, he does finish off with the concept that you're not supposed to be sitting if everybody's standing. That's another Vaidaber that we won't have time to speak about today. But just to make a very quick sikkum, right? He comes and he says that a person should just understand that the entire concept was because since we're doing Tam Elyon, because Mamash, the 10 Commandments has the entire Torah in focused into it, and therefore a person should just realize the importance of what it is, the 10 Commandments, that they're going to come and pay attention. That's why they stand up. I remember in Gibraltar, the minhag is that even if a person, the person that was the Shliach Tzibur, many times it was, let's say it was a Bal Koreh. Now in Gibraltar, there's only one rabbi, and there's 5 kilot, meaning 5 teknesiot, right? Different. So therefore, the rabbi, what? Yes.
Only
yeah?
one word.
So therefore, there's going to be right. He's only going to be one thing, right? One kriyat Torah. So the minhag was that the shliach tzibur that was Bal Koreh, they wouldn't put a talit on their head. The only person that put a talit on their head was somebody that had semicha. So therefore, whenever they used to come and be shliach tzibur, or if they would come and they would read the Torah, they always had a hat. In the old synagogues, which was like they had a top hat. That was like the English, but it stopped. It stopped even today. It stopped. They don't do it anymore. They don't do weddings. But even that, you might have one person. You might have one person, maybe the Rabbi that he does it, but usually it already stopped, completely stopped the top hats. But they wear a regular hat. What? It changed, right? But even though they would wear a hat, for a Seret Dibrot, they would put the talit over the hat. I mean, even if they had a hat, for a Seret Dibrot, they would put the talit on the hat. Right? It was something known that, like this is a Seret Dibrot, it's not just stop. So anyway, but this is again just for us to understand the importance of the Seret Dibrot, and we continue with that.